The good news, of course, is that the Mississippi River levees are holding, and that's uniform. The cooperation that the Corps of Engineers and the hard work they've given has been something that we're grateful for. They have had occasional sand boils, which they have dealt with immediately and effectively. The levee looks good all the way down, not just an untrained eye like mine, but the experts with the levee boards and with the Corps. There's no question, as you here in Vicksburg have seen, structures that are between the levee and the river are flooded, and the river's going to continue to rise about 3 more feet, and so that's just a fact. The structures on this side, on the land side of the levee, in some areas we have flooding because of backwater flooding, because of rivers or creeks that can't get out because there's no place for the water to go. The biggest issue we're going to have with backwater flooding, of course, is going to be in the South Delta, where the Yazoo will be staying within its levee. However, there will be some topping of the levee around Steel Bayou, and the topping is going to be several inches to 1.5 feet, depending where you are along the backwater levee. And that's going to have an effect on the areas that are just north or just west of the levee. The issue for most of those people is, will the levee hold when it is topped? That is, after the water starts going over it, will the levee break? We don't anticipate that. The Corps and others have done a lot of work in armoring the levee around Steel Bayou, which is where the topping is most likely to take place. The other big area where we will have severe flooding is in the areas affected where there is no levee on the west side of the Yazoo River. That's generally between Satartia and Yazoo City, but with the effects of that and backwater, that water will back up into Humphreys County, into Holmes County, and you'll have water to elevation of 107 feet there, where on the area protected by the backwater levee, assuming it holds, then we'll have water at a level that's anticipated to not get beyond 95 feet. The thing I would say to people, if you haven't already gotten out and you're in that part that's going to have 107 feet, if you're east of the Will Whittington Canal and between that and the hill line where the delta ends, you need to go on and get out now while you can. Roads are closing every day, and they're going to continue to close, and some people may think, well, their house is not underwater yet, but they may not recognize they can't get out because the road is closed or may become closed. So if in doubt, people should get out. We want people to evacuate rather than have to be rescued. In the area where we do not expect the water level to go above 95 feet, people still need to be cautious, prudent, and prepared. If the levee breaks when it's topped or after it is topped, we have the possibility that 107-foot water at elevation of 107 feet will go into that area south of Hollandale, the area around Valley Park, Holly Bluff, the area around Cary, Rolling Fork, and will as far north as Hollandale. Now, for that, the southernmost of those areas, that'll happen very quickly. It'll happen in less than a day. And when we're talking about water rising from 95 feet to 107 feet, that means the water's going to get 12 feet deeper in a matter of less than a day in some places. So we're asking people and urging people to be prudent, to get their property as safe as they can, and to get themselves out of harm's way before we meet the crest. This is the last weekend people are going to be able to do that in that area west of the Will Whittington Canal. People east of there have already had to evacuate, or should have evacuated by now. I'm proud of the cooperation that you're finding among federal, state, and local authorities. Supervisor Lauderdale and Representative Monsoor were talking to me about the daily meetings that are going on here between MEMA and FEMA, the local authorities, the state authorities, and we're seeing that all up and down the Mississippi River. We have state meetings every afternoon, and so far so good. But just because things have gone well so far doesn't mean you can let your guard down. Everybody needs to pray for the best, but prepare for the worst. The elevations for the river levels remain the same. We expect the river to crest here at Vicksburg on the 19th. That's next Thursday. We anticipate that once the river crests, it will stay high for several days, that it will not start dropping fast. Those of you who've paid attention will notice that the river's not rising as fast as it was a few days ago as it approaches the crest. But we expect a long, flat crest. That is, we expect for several days it'll stay up around 57.5. That means in the backwater areas it will be very slow. That we will have areas that will be underwater for 3 or 4 weeks. And people need to plan for that as they go forward. Let me just finish with one thing that I want everybody, I hope all the TV stations and all the newspapers will show on their screen. If somebody thinks they might have been damaged by this flooding, or that they might be damaged by this flooding, they should call FEMA's line to register. Very simple. You call 1-800-621-FEMA. That's 1-800-621-3362. That's the only way to get in the system to get any support or any help. And if don't expect somebody to come find you and say, hey, you're qualified. There's no way for anybody to do that. FEMA doesn't know how to do that. You need to call in and register. And then the system will follow up with you and find out what you're eligible for. But right now, we have some people who are displaced, who are out of their homes. They are eligible for shelter, or they're eligible for rental support to where they can get help in finding a place that they can rent, stay in a motel or whatever it is. But there's nobody that can help you do that unless you take the first step, which is to dial 1-800-621-FEMA and register. We have had very, very few people register. Very, very few. And people need to go on and register, because the further we go along, and the more property that's damaged, the more assessments we get of property damage, crop damage, job loss, whatever it is, the more people are going to be calling in. Now's the time to call in and get registered, and then we'll go from there.